Always a good time.
Okay, so here's a story I read my kids. Now, they don't see this, and I'll be honest, I didn't see it initially. It's after reading this a lot to my kids that I started seeing it. Okay. So I mean, this is just Pirate Patch. This is a cute little book, right? Innocent little cute little book. It's not so innocent. Okay. Pirate Patch and Granny Peg are angry. They have a letter. So, it'll get more obvious as we go on, but Pirate Patch is the Jesuits, okay?
Yep.
Granny is the old pagan church. Okay.
Yep. Granny Peg.
Poisonous pirates. Let's do that part, it'd be funny. So the dog are followers, okay? So this is the church, well, the Catholic Church. I'll just call it out, and Protestant.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Follow the church. Now look at this. Terrible tuna. So
Terrible
tuna. No, this is funny, but tuna, fish. What does fish represent? Followers of Yahweh.
Yep.
Calling it the fish terrible. Now they have a nice little rhyme to it, right? Terrible.
Right.
But it's calling the fish terrible. Patch's cousin, Pirate Poppy, is coming to visit. Patch thinks Poppy is the bossiest girl in the world. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, no, so it'll get obvious as we go on here. Poppy is the current mixture of paganism and whitewashed with Christian words. Okay. It'll get more obvious as we go on. And bossiest. Now, it is the girls that control the men or the governments, right? It is the evil church that controls the government.
Okay. Right.
Patch thinks Poppy is the bossiest girl in the world.
She
Are
is.
they
Anyways,
saying
no.
how the world works? It's
Yep.
the church, it's the evil, wicked church that controls all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually being quite honest in this thing. It's just, unless you know what's going on, you don't notice it, right?
Right. It's just a kid's story.
Yeah, it is. But the problem is
But
the
it's
motivation behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's all
Well,
over,
they start
once
them at a very young age. Yes.
yeah, they do. The Pirate Poppy thinks Patch is the silliest boy in the world. Shivering sharks. Oh wait, what's the sea monster that you should be shivering about, right?
Yeah.
When Patch and Poppy sail together, there are always problems. Everything Pirate Patch does, Pirate Poppy does better. So they have these. I'm not quite sure what this is referring to, but just that the church. So the church can do her wicked stuff better than the government does, and so that could be what it's going against. And bigger, and faster,
And better. Yeah.
They always fight about who is the captain of the ship. But Pirate Patch
Yes, they
always
do.
wins. Yeah, that goes on now, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the public eyes, who wins? It's the government, just like it said here. But they're always
Yep.
fighting about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm the captain, but I'm the visitor. I'm actually not sure what I'm the visitor is referring to, but anyways, today Granny Peg has a headache listening to their fighting. She decides to go down to her quiet cabin. Pierre and the pirate and Portside the dog go down with her. So the old complete pagan church goes away for a period of time. It goes down into hiding in the dark. And so do some of those followers, right?
Uh-huh.
and the bird, the demons that tell you. And anyways,
Mhm.
Patch and Poppy aren't watching Granny. They are too busy fighting about the ship's compass, the telescope, and the maps. This is all about, what's going on, who's in charge, what's going on, how to see what's going on, what's coming up next, the forecasts. They're always fighting about what the plan is, right?
Mhm.
Patch and Poppy are too busy fighting, and the little Pearl keeps sailing. Now they don't know where they are. They got
They
lost.
don't.
They in fact, you'll see this in these Gnostic movies. They got off their path. They got too busy doing other things that they weren't supposed to
Which
be
wasn't
doing.
right to begin with anyway.
Right. I agree with you, but they've gotten off their plan. In fact, probably
In
one
their
of my-
efforts to confuse the world, they confused themselves.
yeah. And the latest Matrix movie, they show it in there. They were too busy having strawberries.
Yeah.
Do you know what strawberries are?
Huh?
Do you know what strawberries represents?
Not sure.
Sexual sins.
Okay,
So when
That
you go see
makes-
that in section in
that makes sense.
hold on.
Yes.
So
Strawberries.
not too long ago, there was a client list that actually they admitted that was a problem, but they never went after anybody that was on it.
Yep.
Wait, for what now? I'm confused. What are we talking about?
The Black Book.
Oh, the black book. Wait, the black book.
The client list of those who went on a plane to an island.
So they can have,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
they're too
Yeah.
busy having their strawberries than doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you got to have your strawberries.
Okay. Anyways, okay. Patch and Poppy. Oh, let's see. Patch and
Yes.
Poppy are too busy fighting, and the Pearl keeps saying, now they don't know where they are. Oh, okay. So that's where they got lost, right? That's how we got there.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
this way. No, it's this way. And you'll see that they're fighting about how to take care of the problem that they've gotten themselves into, right? Because they were too busy with their strawberries.
Right.
All right. So suddenly, Pirate Patch sees another ship. It's the Blackbird.
Ah.
It's the Blackbird.
Interesting.
The destroying angel. Yahweh.
Yes.
And his enemies, Pirate Bones and Pirate Jones. So quick, says Patch, the enemy pirates are coming. This way, says Poppy. Pirate Patch doesn't want to do what Poppy says, but he doesn't have a better plan. So the government sails the ship the way the church is pointing him to do. See, she says, smiling. Poisonous pirates. Snakes. Anyways,
Wow.
What do the pirates represent?
the little Pearl is sailing fast, but the Blackbird is faster. Who has more power?
Pirates.
Yahweh. He's
Mhm.
faster,
Yep.
right?
He
I
has
know
all
what to
the power.
do. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I said he has all the power.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be real. Let's be real.
All power there is to have, because there are things you can't do, right?
Right.
So, anyways.
Johnny, quiet.
I know what to do, Poppy, tells Patch. Sell in a figure of 8. What is that? Who has a figure of 8 as part of his symbolism? Satan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is supposedly a kid's book. I mean, anyways.
Kind
Uh,
of scary, right?
yeah.
Johnny.
Pirate Patch doesn't want to do what Poppy says, but he doesn't have a better plan. See, look at this. The government doing what the church tells him. He sells his ship in a figure of 8. They're, symbol is figure of 8, and the little pearl goes faster, but the blackbird, you see, she says, smiling, fighting fish. What are they doing? They're fighting fish. Who's the fish? Yahweh's followers.
Yep.
The fish are Yahweh's followers.
Mhm.
And both sides, so you'll see Pirate Bones, Pirate Jones, right? And then here's the other two. Both sides have their two helpers, right?
Yep.
The church
Interesting.
and the state in both cases, or sometimes depending on the story, it may be twisted a little bit, but it's pretty consistent, two helpers, just as we have
Always.
here.
Yeah.
right?
That's yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
everywhere.
That's interesting.
Usually, I traditionally it should be a male and a female each, but some stories mix it up a little bit. Okay, but
Mhm.
also it's common to have one skinny, one fat. But anyways,
Yeah.
The little pearl is sailing fast, but the blackbird is even faster. I know what to do, Poppy tells Pat. Sail to that sandbank. Oh, you know what a sandbank is? Sounds like? Sermon on the Mount.
Mhm.
It is a foundation
Ah,
upon a rock or a sandy foundation.
Mhm.
okay.
Pirate Patch, this stuff is loaded. You know how I find it out? Knowing the scriptures.
Mhm.
Poppy Patch doesn't want to do what Poppy says, but he doesn't have a better plan. He sails the ship to the sand, and the blackbird gets stuck on the sandbank. Because, I mean, if the followers of Yahweh start doing what the evil ones are doing, they're going to get stuck and not get Yahweh's help, right?
Right.
Because they're now on a sandy foundation. So they got stuck for a little bit.
Right.
You see that in history, right?
A lot, actually. Yeah.
You see, she says, smiling. Impossible icebergs. Ice. You know what the putting someone in ice means?
Putting somebody on ice. I mean, it's putting them in limbo, right?
Oh, it's killing them.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
got them to
Yeah.
sin. Sin is death.
Yes. Yes.
Impossible icebergs. That little cute little saying is actually giving us a hint of what that sandbank is.
And that is very interesting.
You know what? I don't have any notes on what their thoughts are, but once you get the key, it's
Mhm.
easy to see.
Huh.
But soon, the blackbird is close behind them again. I know what to do, Poppy tells Patch. Sail into that bay.
Wow.
Wow.
You guys want to say something?
No, I'm just.
Okay.
This
I was
is-
going, wow. So
I'm enjoying story time. Continue.
I
It's like the parable of the wheat and the tares.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could do this with a lot of stories. But anyways, so Pirate Patch doesn't want to do what Poppy says, but he doesn't have a better plan. Now, that sounds like the church in the state. He sails his ship into the small bay.
Mm.
So I honestly believe that bay is the USA.
Mhm.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
We were.
It's going
we
to the
were
new
found-
world.
We were discovered under the sign of the. We were discovered under the sign of the Egyptian cross.
I didn't know that. But it's going to the land across the sea, and they've gone across all the way up to another land. This is the
Huh.
USA.
Mhm.
Interesting.
But before Poppy can smile and say, you see, the blackbird is even closer behind them. This time, Pirate Patch has a better plan. This is 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Patch sells a
Wait.
little pearl between the two enormous twin towers. Oh, wait, I mean, two enormous rocks. I need to go back to reading school. Poppy
Mhm.
Yeah,
covers his
right.
eyes. She thinks they are going to crash. Shivering sharks. The sea
Again.
monster.
Again, the 2001 event
Yeah,
was, the two towers.
Mhm.
yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
need to go back. That's cool. I misread that, right? But Pirate Patch smiles. His little ship isn't as fast as the Blackbird, but it isn't as fat either. The fatted calf, which is Yeshua.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeshua was the fatted calf.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck,
yeah.
yeah.
The little pearl, oops.
Mhm.
The little pearl sails between the two monomerous rocks, but the big, fat heifer, I mean Blackbird, gets stuck. Help! So 9/11 was not good, and it's actually laid a foundation for a lot of the things that they're doing now, right?
Yep.
Well, it definitely started speeding things up. That's for darn sure.
Yeah, it did.
Mhm.
When Granny Peg, Peter the parrot, and Portside the dog come out of the cabin, oh, look at this. There's the old pagan church coming out. And what do we see the Pope really pushing for right now?
His agenda.
He's working on bringing Mystery Babylon all back together, so that way he can bring
He's
out
working
the
on
real-
bringing all the churches back together into one religion,
in which then they can bring out the real paganism.
and they can,
Mhm.
and will again enact Sunday law.
So, and get rid of the Christian label of things too, because that's coming.
That for Myers and Heald is its beginnings.
Mhm.
When Granny Peg,
Yep.
Peter the parrot, and Portside the dog come out of the cabin, the dark cave, now into the daylight, because now it's completely accepted.
Right.
They don't know about the day's adventures. Yo ho ho. That ho ho. There, I'm not gonna get into that one, but anyways, there's a lot to that. As they
Yeah.
sail home. So now this, you'll see the time of peace.
Mhm.
They sail home. Patch and Poppy are very polite to each other. Peace. You first, says Patch. No, after you, says Poppy. You're the captain, but you're the visitor. They're being all polite and nice with each other. Be worried when they start preaching peace. Granny Peg is getting nervous. She
Okay.
doesn't understand. Later, Mom and Dad ask Patch, "How is your cousin Poppy?" Okay, says Patch, but she is very bossy. Because that's what she does. Granny Peg smiles. Pirate Patch is normal again.
Interesting.
This stuff is everywhere. It's a kid's book, right?
It's like the it's like
Wow.
the imagination of fulfilling prophecy.
Anyways, I might not have every single little bit to really fine tune, but the overall, I think I have it. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways,
That's actually extremely disturbing. But
that's what I'm saying. I don't know Lord of the Rings well enough to bring a lot out on that. I'd have to go watch it again.
well, now,
Now
yeah.
that I've woken up, not that watching it when I was asleep is different than watching after I've been awake, right?
Yep.
Understand.
Well, the thing is when you watch it when you're awake, you can see them. You can see the fantastic imagery and the spell casting going on.
Yeah. And for me, a lot of these come bits and pieces of time, and a lot of it is once I get one, I then get it all, or able to figure out the rest after the one. So
You know, it's interesting. You started out the conversation with saying you didn't like C.S. Lewis, and he wrote other works aside from Narnia that actually are more blatant with the symbology of his message. I guess we'll just put it that way, which is not really his message, but it's a message that he's
Yeah.
promulgating. And it's a series of books about a guy named Arthur Ransom, and it's Out of the Silent Planet, Paralandra, and that Hideous Strength. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, the whole plan is laid out. You read all three of those books, the whole plan is laid out. Everything.
Yeah. So like I mentioned that the Bay was USA, a good book movie for showing the occult's plan for that is James and the Giant Peach.
Oh, yeah.
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 I have most of that one figured out. There's a few things in it I haven't, and I generally wait until I have them like almost every single scene figured out before I do one. If you
Okay.
want, if you like that stuff, go to my Gnostics page. I've recorded commentaries on a few that you can go watch, and I go scene by scene on all of them that I have there.
Okay.
These plans are not new. They've been around.
No,
for-
No,
I mean,
very old. They're very old.
there's-
I mean, they've been around since the
Cain.
beginning, really. I
They've been
mean,
around since Cain.
Yeah.
the beginning, yeah, since
For
pretty
sure.
much the
Well,
beginning.
I was more talking about the current renditions of it.
Oh,
But the
Yeah, yeah.
overall plan, yes, it's been around since Cain, as going with what Ben is stating, right?
yeah. And it's great secret. It's great secret that I can murder to get gain.
Yeah. So here's another one. I guess to go along with Cain and LDS. Hold on, my son's coming. 1 second. All right, Matt. So show us your little thing that you want to show us.
So I'm working on it. Give me a second. Okay, so let's see here. Let's start in verse 10.
Okay.
And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war and instruments of chariots. Cultivate. So ear, cultivate. Do you have anything yet as far as translations?
No, that's about the same.
Okay.
The
And you will
JST
take-
hasn't changed anything.
Okay. And you will take your daughters to be confectionaries, or perfumers and ointment makers, and to be cooks and to be bakers. And you will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. And here's the really neato thing. And he will take the 10th of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the 10th of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen, which ye shall have chosen you. And the Lord will not hear you in that day. And prior to that, the Lord is basically saying they have chosen to not choose me. They have chosen nothing but men.
For sure, because Samuel kind of took them wanting a king personally, and
Yes.
Yahweh was comforting him. Said, "It's not you that they've rejected; they've rejected me."
Okay,
But the
well,
fact-
the other thing, the interesting thing is that some of these other things are exactly what Brigham Young did when he set himself up in the valley.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, Matt should have maybe gave a little leader, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
But-
So, did you serve a mission? I'm not worried about it either way, just,
What?
did you serve a mission?
Yes, yes. I
Yeah,
did.
okay, because I remember when I was on my mission, they taught you to kind of help, give explanation beforehand. Which helps them see it as they're reading it, but anyways, that's fine. Even where I'm at now, I still am grateful for my mission, but because as you're reading it, I saw things in here, like he took their manservants and their maidservants. Brigham Young accepted slaves as tithing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we could probably, a lot of this I saw could be applied, some of it I don't know how to apply it myself. Others might.
Well, it was particularly verse 14, he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his people, basically.
Yeah, which that definitely happened.
Yeah.
And instruments of his chariots, Brigham Young did send some saints to go be soldiers in the US Army. I forget which one. Was it the one with Mexico? I think it was.
Mexican War, yep.
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
Mexican.
He actually forced some to go, right? Which I would say goes along with those instruments of chariots and of war, right? Ear to his ground. I'm not
It
sure
means
what that is.
cultivate. It means to cultivate. And Brigham Young, you did a lot of interesting cultivation practices in Utah.
Well, Brigham
Yeah.
Young,
Yeah, he did.
the most interesting thing about is that Brigham Young would have his people cultivate the land, and then he would come in and he would would require it of them and take yeah, so
Yeah, he
it
stole
was
it from them.
basically like they were cultivating the land for him.
Yeah, he just took it from like King Noah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense because I know he did that.
And sometimes when they wouldn't leave, he'd send them in and kill them.
Yeah, there's some
The Meadow
Yeah.
Mountain Massacre or Mountain Meadow.
and Mountain Meadow. That's not that.
Well,
that's-
that's different. Mount
That's
Medical's
different.
massacre, because Mount Medical massacres was against
It was against people from
travelers
Missouri.
just going
Oh,
west. That wasn't against members who didn't give up their
Yeah,
land.
it was people from Missouri.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the
So
correction.
yes, I do believe Brigham Young was behind Mount Meadow massacres, just as his son-in-law stated. But a lot of people don't want to believe that because they want to believe Brigham Young is a good guy. But
The best of man.
he did take people's land after they cultivated it, right?
Yeah.
In fact, the only reason he was quote unquote rich is because he took stuff from the tithing fund,
And
just
he-
1/10
and he-
of what was supposed to be given, as was stated here, right?
Yep, and he also took from people their wives whom they'd cultivated.
Yes. And some of them was just to be accessories or just take care of the household, like to be cooks and bakers, right?
Mhm.
Because with how many wives he had, he could not have I don't know, maybe he did once, but he couldn't have marriage relations with them on a regular basis with all of them all the time. It's not possible. Sorry. Well, on top of that, just give them the love and care that they each deserve. They got less than a week each from him, right?
Right.
That's not a marriage. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he took their vineyards, right? They paid tithing and wine even, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think they did olive yards though, but
Well, that's, I think the olive yards is more a
Hebrew thing.
well, they're not, well,
regional
Jerusalem
thing.
has a lot of olive yards in Israel,
Yes.
right? But I don't
Yeah.
think Utah does.
No.
Yeah, but I think it's a region, I think that one's a regional thing for where they are.
Oh, sure. I would speculate there's a deeper meaning in it, but I don't know what it is right now. But I do like the connection with the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards to give to his servants and officers and his servants, because that's what happened, right? It didn't go to the poor.
Mm-mm.
It still really doesn't today, right?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, okay, so you give 1 million out of 100+ billion, sure, you gave some, but that's like fractions of a penny, right?
Most of it gets tied up in mutual funds.
Which is Babylon,
Yep.
Mhm.
which won't be around after the second coming, as some people will use as
Well,
an excuse. Right?
the Babylon Bank is about to fail.
Yes, I think on purpose, but anyways.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
It's designed this way.
Yeah.
Yes. So we talked about manservants and maid servants a little bit.
Yep.
Well, he took animals, right? In
Yep.
fact, he even took a piano from somebody, and instead of helping the family, he stole the piano from them. A tenth of your sheep, that's kind of the tenth, the tithing.
Mhm.
Which it's interesting. In with King Noah, aka King Brigham, it's a fifth part, which
Yeah.
is 20% instead of 10%, and I think that goes back to Egypt. But I'm not sure what to do with that exactly.
And the
at
first,
this point.
do you know that in the first year that Brigham Young and the 12 were the leaders of the church, they tithed all the members of the church twice.
Oh, I didn't know that part, but I know they changed
took the
tithing
fifth-
and
They
made
took
themselves
the fifth
exempt.
part. They took the fifth part.
Maybe that's the fifth part then. The twice. Do you have a links for that?
I do believe that's something that I do believe that is.
Isn't that, what's
Well,
his-
we'll work on that
It's
later.
in
but
Hemlock.
that-
I know that I know the people at Hemlock Knots have found a lot of that kind of stuff. So
well, maybe you can. I'm not liked there, so maybe you
Yeah.
can see if you can get it from them, because that would, in my mind, answer the fifth part, right? That's mentioned there, because that's, although I still stand by my post. There's still little things like that I still have little things, but it looks like you just answered one, right?
Mhm.
But I don't have too many questions. That was just one standing one, because a 20th is not a 10th, right? But if he did it twice,
Yeah.
that would answer the 20th. But anyways,
Although
you for
if he is taking 10% of their property plus sheep, or of their
that basically is just this is just
well, he's taking it off a gross, I think is what I
he's taking
see
it off
out of
gross.
this.
yeah,
Where tithing is supposed to be off a surplus, right?
right.
And I mean, JST Genesis 14, I forget the verse, but it says that DNC 119 says surplus also. And
Technically, if it's done off the gross, that would technically be likened unto the fifth part if we're supposed to do it off of the surplus, right? Theoretically.
So it'd be closer to a fifth part than actual, but I wouldn't exactly say it'd be a fifth part, to be honest.
That's
not-
where
that's
fast
far-
offering. That's where the fast offerings come into play, right?
Throwing the fast offerings on, I could kind of see that, but a fast offering is a true principle, but they just twist
Right.
it, right?
Right.
And they actually don't require that. The only one that they require is tithing.
Right.
Yeah. So this is, yeah, so that's, is, I'll see if I can.
Yeah, if you can get that, that would be interesting, because that would be answer like one of my lingering questions, and it's just nice to have the notes, because if I ever do version 2, which I don't know if I'll ever get the time, I would add that, because when I did version 1, I shouldn't have done it in a table format, and I should have put links that I had, but I overreacted in a bad way to things that I was seeing going on. So I should add all of the links, which I had them. And that's the
Mhm.
main reason I would do a version 2 if I did a version 2, is to put the links in it. But
Yeah.
that would be a nice little update if you could get that. If I ever get the time, as if I
With all the other things that you have.
all the other things that you do and other posts I need to finish. Right?
So that was that fun little thing there from the 1 Samuel 8 that we were reading about today. As we
Yeah, well, I definitely see parallels to King Brigham there, right?
mhm.
Um,
Samuel prophesied it.
yeah,
This
it's
is straight prophecy right here. And it's-
well, it's amazing what you can see out of the scriptures when you wake up, right?
Yeah.
But this has no place for us today. That's the old covenant, right?
Yeah, all of this stuff.
Oh,
nailed
which
to the
leads us,
cross was Christ.
to Doctrine and Covenants, section 22.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go look at that one.
So,
Well,
so
then
for a bit of a
dedicated-
leader while he's looking this up,
Yeah.
A lot of people like to point to certain verses to prove that there is in fact a new covenant. And when we look at those verses, we're about to take a look at one of those verses. And when you look at the wording of it, at the wording of the entire verse, everything put together, you'll see that this is actually expressing the renewal of a covenant rather than the making of a new covenant. So let's go to Doctrine and Covenants, section 22, verse 2.
Well, let's just start with 1. It's
Yeah.
short.
Yeah, we'll start with 1. And so he's
In fact, even look at this McConkie. Baptism is a new and everlasting covenant. So baptism isn't new, right? Anyways,
right.
let's just start with number 1. Here, I'll read, you comment, okay?
Okay.
Just so that way you're not speaking the whole time and you're running this part right here. So just so I
Okay.
can help some. Behold, I say unto you that all old covenants have I caused to be done away with in this thing. So
Okay, so let's stop there. All old covenants have I caused to be done away in this thing. That does seem on the face of it to say that the old covenant is done away. Let's
Okay.
now let's read the second half.
okay, good. So but one thing I want to add before we do that.
Yeah.
Like 35:15, the old is done away,
And all
and
things are made new.
new. So I don't know exactly why yet, okay? But I'm going to add this, and I think I know you'll like it, Ben.
Yeah.
And Matt and Zach. And I see this with Paul also. The old is the law of Moses, which
Right.
when you go look at 35:15, that is what is being done away with. And so it completely fits. Why it's the old, I haven't figured out yet. But the old is the law of Moses, the daily performances and ordinances,
Mhm.
not Torah. There's a difference between those two. And we've gone over that, and I'll put a link in the
Okay.
notes. But right, we've gone
Yeah.
over that.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Indeed. So let's read the second half of this first verse.
And this is a new and everlasting covenant even that which was from the beginning. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, so here we go. This is a new and everlasting covenant, even that which was from the beginning. So
Oh,
here we
wait,
run-
I don't like that last part there. What, can I make that black? Sorry.
Yeah, but here's so the point is, so a new and everlasting covenant, even that which was from the beginning. This is clearly stating that this is the renewal of a covenant, the same covenant that has been from the beginning of man.
Right, and
Even
I'm going
that
to
which
add to
was-
this that we may not get into it, but just so people are aware, Alma 12 states that Adam had Torah, which
Yep.
this supports that, because even that which was from the beginning. What's the beginning? Generally speaking, the beginning is Adam and Eve, I would say, because it's
Yeah.
before the beginning is the pre-existence. But anyways, well, I don't know, because Genesis 1 and 2, that's part of the beginning, and that's verses 1 and 2 is about the pre-mortal stuff and new moon day, right? So
Right, so
I-
yeah.
anyways,
I
that's a
think-
whole nother subject.
Yeah, but this clearly, when you take a look at this within itself, if you're looking at the old covenant being done away and they're getting a new covenant, then this section here, even that which was from the beginning, it makes the whole verse contradictory. But when you're realizing that this new covenant is in fact the renewed covenant, now it all makes sense. It all comes together. I say unto you that all old covenants have I caused to be done away in this thing. This is a new and everlasting covenant, even that which was from the beginning. In other words, a renewed,
Yeah,
therefore everlasting covenant.
correct. That this is stating renewed, and Book of Mormon, Alma 12 states Alma had Torah. So one thing, this part right here, this looks like we don't have either the question that was prayed about to get this answer, because all covenants have I done away in this thing. What's this thing that is being talked about? There's nothing, I don't see any context to tell us what this thing is. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's
Um,
yeah, because even if you go down here, what it talks about, it talks about baptism. Wherefore, although a man should be baptized 100 times, it availeth him nothing. For you cannot enter into the straight gate by the law of Moses, neither by your dead works. Again, making it
law of
clear
Moses,
that
but
the
law of
old
Moses
thing-
and Torah are different. So I just want
Yeah,
to point that out.
making it clear that the old thing, the old things which are done away are the law of Moses, not Torah.
Right. And so I would agree with you. This kind of supports what I'm stating, that the old covenant is the law of Moses. Now,
Yeah.
why law of Moses is the old covenant when Torah was with Adam is even older, I don't have an answer for yet. But I just know the patterns I see in the Book of Mormon and the New Testament in these wordings. It's the
Mhm.
law of Moses.
Right. And then neither by your dead works. Dead works are those works which are not justified in Torah.
Correct.
So for it is because of your
Dead has
dead,
to do with sin.
yes. For it is because of your dead works that I caused this last covenant and this church to be built up unto me, even as in days of old.
Oh, wait,
Where,
wait a minute.
oh, wait, what?
Wait, days of old?
Oh, my word.
That's not recent, as in, the Gentile age, because that would be in the recent days.
That's
Old
right.
days
Don't
is
confuse me
before.
with technical jargon.
Yeah,
don't
in
get
days of old,
technical,
in
okay?
days of old would have to be before the days of the Gentiles, which would have to be before the days of Christ.
Well, it could have started with Christ, but
It could have started.
but
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's before Christ. He was part of it, but Yeshua, the Messiah, taught Torah.
Mhm. Wherefore enter ye in at the gate as I have commanded, and seek not to counsel your God. Amen.
So this also right here makes me think that for additional context, we should probably have what Joseph Smith was praying before he
I
got this
agree.
revelation. Because here's the first part that deals with that. And here's the
Uh-huh.
last part deals with that. Makes me wonder if this part right here is if there's chiasm, because here's referencing what he was praying about right in here, which we don't have. This is where I want to go know what the question he was asking to help get more context. And wait, in this thing, was he praying about the law of Moses? I would speculate he was praying about the law of Moses from what I can see here. But I admit this is speculation, but this is what I'm getting from the context and from my own studies and making the pieces fit, right?
Right.
But, and then this last part is referencing what he was asking and praying before this revelation.
Exactly.
So I wonder if, well, these two could go together. So just a quick look, this could be an
Oh,
A,
yeah.
B, B, A, just a quick glance.
Yeah,
Um,
it certainly looks that way. It's
I-
yeah, both of these are referencing, and this is an explanation of the stuff in the
Yeah, 'cause-
center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, I'd rather
Yeah, it
not
works.
spend
Yeah,
time
it
on that like
works.
we did the other day, building out the
Yeah.
chiasm. If we
Yeah.
did anything more on this one, I'd want to go find out what he was praying, but that,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Joseph Smith
But
papers.
yeah,
but-
but section 22 verse 1 is one of those verses that people who cite that Torah is done away with, they will always cite this verse.
Well, I
And
can
as we
see,
have just shown, even that and that which was from the beginning
and so there's two that goes along with
destroys
this, and
their
along
point.
with going with this context is three, the plain text, not even reading into it, right?
Right. Even as in days of old, even that which was from the beginning. God is the same God yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah, and that's not really reading into deeper meanings of these things, like I did with Old Covenant earlier,
Right.
right? But this
Right,
is just,
exactly.
but those two phrases are pretty clear for anybody just straight
Yeah,
reading this.
those two phrases give the lie to any man who says that Torah is done away.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Of course, I see Torah being taught after the resurrection in the Book of Mormon, after
Yeah.
35:11.
Yeah, that's I love that. I love reading that.
Yeah, I just need to finish the post those verses were supposed to be for.
Yeah.
Talk about me needing a pet squirrel, right?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, but yeah, I agree with you. This is stating it's a renewed, right?
Yeah, it's very
I-
clear that this is actually a renewed covenant.
Yeah, and
Because
we could,
otherwise it cannot be an everlasting covenant if it is a new covenant. It cannot
right,
be
because
everlasting.
everlasting is mean not a beginning and not an end.
That's right. So you
It's
can't, in order for there
everlasting.
to be a new covenant, there has to be an old covenant done away. Therefore, it is not everlasting.
Well, okay, so but on that, there is an old covenant that went away. But
Right,
that's where I'm
but I'm
saying
just- but all
that's the
I'm
law of
saying-
Moses.
But all I'm saying is the law of Moses was an old covenant, but the everlasting covenant. And since they're connecting new to everlasting, it has to be the everlasting covenant, therefore a renewed covenant.
Right. In fact, in 3 Nephi 11, whatever is being talked about there, which is law of Moses, when you understand it, but it says old covenants and done away with. It has both of those phrases in it,
Mhm.
right? In 3 Nephi.
Yep, exactly.
Or no,
Yeah.
3 Nephi 15. I think you said 11, but I meant
Yeah, that's
15.
3 Nephi 15.
Sorry. I meant one thing and said another one. But sorry, go ahead.
I looked up the word new in 1828
Sure. Let me
dictionary, and number 6 says renovated, repaired so as to recover the first state.
yeah. Let me
Ren-
get it up so everybody can see it.
It's number 6.
Yeah.
Number 6. Renovated.
Yeah, that's renewed, right? Repaired,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
recover. That one's clearly in today's language renewed, right?
Recently produced by change as a new life. Number 4.
Well, that's not,
Oh, I wouldn't say that one. Because recently produced is something like brand spanking new. That's not what's
good.
going
Yeah.
on here.
no, renovated, repaired, so as to
Yeah,
recover
right.
the
But
first.
because like a new man, and I would agree with that right there with the new man, instead of
Yeah,
an old man with new excuses, right?
Yeah.
yes.
Um,
But in terms of describing the covenant, verse 6, the everlasting covenant, this definition 6 is definitely
Oh, yeah.
the only one that makes sense with regards to both new and everlasting.
yeah. I know in here they talk about new moon, if I remember right. Yeah. And so we all know that it's not a literal new moon every
Right.
lunar cycle, 29.5 give or take, right? It's just, it's the same old moon renewed. This is just where people forget the old definitions that are being used in the scriptures. And people are putting on only their current understanding of the words rather than the understanding of the words at the time they were written, right? And it causes a lot of problems like this. Because most people do this, right? Number 4, recently produced by change as a new life instead
Or
of
3, modern, not ancient.
yeah that's probably perfect one. Both of those two are perfect for how most people interpret new, instead of going number 6 as Zach brings out, renovated, repaired, which repaired goes along with the restoration. Restoration is not new.
No.
It's
Right.
a renovated, it's repaired,
have to
it's
have
a
a base.
recovered of the first state.
Yeah, you have to have a base to work with.
Right. I mean, just the word, let's go look at the word restoration to go along with
Yeah,
this,
let's
right?
do that.
Because I mean, we all love the restoration. It's just we all have different ideas about it. But let's look
The
at this
act of
word.
replacing in a former state.
Oh, wait. Oh, that sounds like renewed.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this renewal. You can't-
Renewal, revival, reestablishment.
Yeah, reestablishment, restoration of a friendship. Oh, cause you know when you're doing Yahweh's ways, what what you're looking forward to be called?
My
A
friend.
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 Because he doesn't just say that to anybody, right?
No, he doesn't. It's not one of those things that he hands out like candy.
No. If he hands anything out like candy, it's enemy.
Yeah.
All right, because few be that find the way.
Recovery, renewal of, okay, recovery from a lapse or
Restora-
any bad state. Oh, is this like recovery from apostasy?
What? Wait, apostasy is when it we can go check the word, but when something's been modified.
Apostasy is to turn away, literally means to turn away from the truth. You have to
Right,
have a knowledge of the truth in order to be apostate. So when anybody calls somebody who leaves the current state of the restoration an apostate, they don't know the definition of the word.
Well, and then they should go study Joseph Smith's last dream,
Yeah.
which I mean, I give the recording in the notes, but I bring out how Joseph Smith states our current state
Yeah.
is something he wants nothing to do with
Yep.
because it's apostate, because it's let the sea demon in. Now, I'm not just making that up. That is actually in the dream.
Yep.
The seaboard, weatherboard, is supposed to keep the sea out, aka the sea demon. But anyways.
Yeah.
Recovery from a bad state.
Yeah. Like I said, recovery
Yeah.
from apostasy.
In theology, universal, oh, I don't like the word.
The idea of universal restoration is a false idea.
Yeah, okay. So this is where I won't agree with.
Remember
this
the
definition,
remember the 1830 dictionary was actually heavily, the word usage in the 1830s was heavily influenced by universalists.
I didn't know that, but with this definition, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So it was heavily
Well,
influenced
this
by.
is funny. In England, the return of King Charles II in 1660. What does that have to do with the definition? That's
Well, because he was restored and his monarchy was reestablished.
well, okay. So, a definition is something that would be implied by not adding that stuff. So maybe in 1830, I don't think when someone said restoration, no, I wasn't alive then, but especially considering we left England, why in the world would that be part of the common language
Right.
of the definition of restoration, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
So this one, those two sound fishy to me, but I'm not a dictionary expert.
Right.
But
The
anyway.
thing is the thing that we all have to remember is that a lot of times the wordsmiths are also the servants of the devil. So
Some of them for sure, yes. Now, I mean, some of the stuff in here is good, but like some of it is not, like we just went over. But
Yeah.
anyways, so yeah, that was a good thing to bring out, Zach. 6, renovated, repaired as to recover the first state.
and so when we say
Especially
that,
when you tie it with restoration, it's renewed, right?
yeah,
Not something
clearly.
not something completely new. Because if that's the case, stop using the word restoration. Because if
Right.
you use the restoration and claim that something brand spanking new, you're a liar.
Yeah. So
I'll say it again, you're a liar and you don't know him. Sorry. It's just
Yep.
true. Let's go look at that verse.
Section
And
22.
this verse was given after Yeshua's resurrection, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
Which I turned into a chiasm, or brought out a chiasm. That's a better way of
Yeah.
putting it, right?
And hereby we do know that we know him, and that we know him, and if we keep his commandments, he that saith I know him and keepeth not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked.
Now, I understand. First AC can be twisted. Last AC cannot be twisted.
Well, and that goes back to that whole thing that I believe it's in one of your posts, the one about the high holidays where we're talking about Jesus observing the Festival of Lights.
Oh, it's
We should ask not what
on the morrow, right?
Yeah, on the morrow. We should
Oh.
not ask what Jesus would do. We should ask ourselves, what did Jesus do?
Yeah.
Because he
And
did live,
well, there's a little more and why he did it.
and why he did it. Yeah.
Let's go look at the wording, but it's what he did and why.
Yeah.
A lot of Christians will say, what would Jesus do? I mean, that's a nice saying, right?
Yeah.
I believe a better saying is, what did Yeshua do? If we know what Yeshua actually did and the reasons behind why he did them, if we don't, we won't have any clue what Yeshua would do in this or that situation. Because if we don't know the reasoning behind it and the logic behind it, how do we expect to know what he would do in this case? Other than just your feelings, right? Nor do we know, and And Joseph Smith taught the Holy Ghost is not feelings. It's pure knowledge,
Your intelligence.
pure intelligence. Nor do we really know Yeshua or understand him or his ways. For if we really knew Yeshua and understood his ways, we would conduct ourselves like he did while he was tabernacled here on earth to do the things he did. I believe that includes festival lights, which most people don't do, right? Because they say, they've been fulfilled, which means fully preached, not done away with, commanded
Right.
in Leviticus. I promise you will gain greater insights from the scriptures. And okay, anyways.
Yeah. But the point that I wanted to take it was the really powerful point in this for me ends pretty much right at if we really know Jesus and understand his ways, we would conduct ourselves like he did while he was tabernacled here on earth and do the things he did.
Right.
I think it starts right there and it goes right down to there. That to me is the really powerful part. The really powerful part of this particular thing is that we don't need to ask what would Jesus do. We need to ask what he did and why he did it.
Well, in fact, if you
so that
don't
we can
first
come to
start
know
with
him.
the did, you wouldn't know the would.
Yeah,
Because until you know the did and why the did, or the reasoning behind the did, you won't know the would.
exactly.
But everybody just wants to focus on their warm and fuzzy feelings, right?
And all those things that make them feel oh so peaceful inside.
Yeah, but most of these people who do that are all so confused, which is not of God, Elohim,
Right.
and they're not really happy. Really.
No.
In fact, most of these people on the front will say they will, but behind the scenes, when you get to know them, they're really not. Sorry.
There are many people who who make a public show of the WWJD bracelets and what have you.
Are absolutely miserable.
But
And they
yeah,
like to make other people miserable too.
well, it's because they're miserable. Satan wants to make us miserable like him. And so-
Because if you have to ask what would Jesus do, it's because you don't know what he did.
yeah. Well, anyways, I think that's enough on berating on that one. But
Yep.
yeah, it's important to know what he did and why he did it. Because a post I need to finish, you never heard me say that, is about Yeshua and the adulterous woman.
Yeah.
That was all in accordance to the law. And he never said she was forgiven. He told her, don't go sin anymore. But he never told her, you're forgiven. She didn't repent at that point. She probably did later, right? Because of the compassion and that Yeshua actually followed the law in this respect. And she came to a deeper understanding what was really meant by the law. But he didn't forgive her then. Hopefully,
That's not
later.
stated there. That's not stated there. It says go and sin no.
Right.
All he says is neither do I condemn thee.
Well, because he couldn't, according to the law, there was no witnesses.
Yeah.
And so to be a rightful judge, as he is, there was no witness to go off of, to do the condemnation
Exactly.
off of.
Exactly.
So
So
he
that's
couldn't. Even though he knew she sinned, because the fact that he didn't say you're forgiven knows that he knows that she sinned and didn't repent of it, right? But he had to follow the law, even in this judgment. Otherwise, he would have broken the law. In fact, the whole account even states that they did this to try to trick him.
trip him up in the law.
Right. And they broke the law in trying to trick him in the law.
And that's
Because
why
the law
he
states
says,
they
without sin, let him cast the first stone.
Yeah, it's the sin in doing this judgment. Because if you
Right.
go read the law, and even just the scriptures, the Book of Mormon or the New Testament, God does command judges of men, and we are sinful. So that's not what it's talking about. The sin was in the way that they brought her to be judged.
Right.
That's the sin that he was
Right.
talking about, is how they did it. Because if they caught her in the very act, where's the man? Because Torah specifies both are to be condemned, not just
Yeah.
one.
Yep. Yep.
And when he was writing in the ground, he was bringing something out from Jeremiah, and how those evil Sadducees and Pharisees are going to have their name written on the dust instead of the book of life, because their father is Satan, who
Mhm.
that is his domain, the dust. That's what was going on. He was putting their name in the dust because that's who they belong to.
Because otherwise, why would they? What cause would they have to be convicted in their hearts if they did not know what he was writing?
Right. And they knew if they went further, their punishment would be even worse because of the
Right, because of-
false witness that they're bringing forth,
Mhm.
and that the law states if you bring a false witness forth, you then get that judgment that you're trying to get caused onto somebody else, onto you.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so that the adulterous woman is not teaching what most people try to bring out from it.
Forgiveness. The Lord loves you in your sins.
Well, yeah, but Matt, where does it say that she was forgiven?
Don't confuse me. My mind's made up. Don't confuse me with facts. My mind's made up.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You're welcome.
I know. Uh, uh, anyways, but the thing is, it's an example where, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I said, did you miss me?
Anyways, this is an example where they don't know the reasoning behind what he did, so they don't. I mean, this even goes into the example of how they twisted what he did, even,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Let alone the reasonings behind it. I need to finish that post, but I need to finish a lot of things.
There's a lot of things, and there's a lot of things that need to be done and a very little time to do them.
Yeah, and I'm doing the best I can with what I got, and Yahweh
That's
understands, because I
that,
have a
yeah,
family to take care of too.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, no, it's just that always just.
And
I
it's
think,
not my responsibility to save people.
yeah,
It's my responsibility to teach as the best I can with the amount of time that I have to do it, and that's what I do. But it's
Yep.
not my place to give them everything.
no, you can't. You
can't.
cannot give another person the knowledge of Yeshua
Well,
and
it's
his
not just
law.
the knowledge. It's not because Satan knows the Bible better than us, and the
Right.
Book of Mormon, and the DNC, and the Pearl Great Price. It's the heart
Yeah.
and the
And
contrite spirit.
we cannot work the mighty change of heart. Only God
Right.
can.
And to quote Yahweh from Isaiah, my ways are not your ways. I
Yeah.
can't write these ways on other people's hearts. They have to do that themselves. That's between them and Yahweh. All I
Yeah.
can do is help them to hopefully better understand and explain it in various ways that hopefully one of these things will prick them and get them to start looking and further and deeper than just the surface that they're doing.
Right.
But until that pricking's done, they're not going to see it. They're going to be blind guides.
That actually reminds me of the second as we were talking about the law written on their hearts. Reminds me of Jeremiah chapter 31.
Oh, well, that's a good one about the renewed, right?
Mhm. Yeah, this is another one that's often cited to,
That's a renewed chapter, if I remember correctly.
yes, it is actually.
And it does specifically state along with the, but here it says new because of the translation, but it specifically states written on their hearts.
mhm.
That's the renewed covenant, written on their hearts.
Well, yeah, it's Jeremiah right here.
There we go. 31. When I got off my mission, I spent some time memorizing the order. I just don't remember them all. I'm more worried about
Yeah.
other things than the order.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, which verse you want?
Let me see.
Go for it, bud.
The new promise, verse 30, starting in verse 31.
Okay.
Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel, with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. This is being very clear that he's talking about he's not in the law of Moses. That is
Right.
what
Well,
given to him.
well, so here's what I get out of it, because there's probably a couple of things that we can get, but because which they broke, because I think they kept the law of Moses. The thing
Yeah.
that they broke is not having it written upon their hearts. In fact, the reason they got the law
Yeah.
of Moses is because they just broke it
They broke it, and they broke
in
it
40 days.
in 40 days. They broke.
Well,
the
less
covenant.
than that, but that's when Moses came down. It was 40 days, right?
Yeah. Though I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people. Now, the thing is, once again, they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know you the Lord, for they
Okay, well,
shall.
before you go on, I want to focus a little bit on 33.
Yeah,
So
33 is good.
when Jeremiah was speaking this, when he said law, people knew what he was talking about.
Yeah,
Torah, that's the law.
we will
They
write it.
knew that. And so I will put my law in their inward parts, which is actually, if you go read Torah, it actually states you should have it in your inward parts, in
Right.
Torah itself.
Yeah.
So I mean, this Torah,
Clearly a
Torah,
statement of renewal. This is clearly a statement of
right?
renewal.
And that's what I'm getting at, because when, and it's not saying it's going to be a new, it's going to
No.
be renewed and put on their hearts, where up in 32 was that
Was
Good
they,
night, bud.
they
yeah,
didn't have it on their hearts. That's why they were in the wilderness for 40 years.
yeah, they didn't have it in their hearts. They just had it on paper and on stone,
Right. And they're always looking ways around it, to find ways
Yeah.
around it. And so anyways,
It
but
wasn't written in their hearts.
that's the renewed on their hearts, which is actually originally part of it. But what I'm trying to bring out here, 32 is bringing out how the reason they stayed out for 40 years is because it wasn't written on their hearts.
Yep. The reason why the Lord sware in his wrath that none would enter into his rest is because his law was not written upon their hearts.
Right.
Well, if you think about it too, if you think about a wedding agreement, it originally starts out as being written on a document. But if the bride takes it to heart and brings it into herself, then it is written in her heart, it is written on her inward parts, and she is the bride to the bridegroom.
I like that.
They shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for they shall all know me. Why shall they know him? Because his law is written on their hearts, and they have become like him.
Oh, wait a minute. What? They know him why?
Because his law is written upon their hearts and they have become like him.
Well, that was kind of like what Peter said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wait, if you don't keep their ways, and they say they know him, but they're a liar. What? That
From the
can't be,
least of them
that can't
un-
be the same thing, Ben.
I know. Isn't that terrible? Isn't that just terrible?
Yeah,
I'm
I
doing
know.
terrible things to the scriptures here.
No, that can't be. And that was after the resurrection. No. I'm being a dork, but I'm doing it to make a point here, right?
Yeah. They shall teach,
Especially the part after the resurrection when he stated that. Just go look at it.
for I will forgive them their iniquity. And that's the point. Our iniquity is forgiven us when with the law is written upon our hearts.
Well, okay, so here's some imagery I see that goes along with this as we're doing this. So, so Isaac, right?
Mhm.
No, I mean Jacob and Esau. Sorry.
Right, Jacob and Esau. Yeah.
So when Jacob went to his father to get the firstborn's blessing, Yeshua's blessing, he had to look, feel, and smell like the firstborn to get the covenant. And when he did, and had his name, right? He had to have the name, the character, the personalities, the attributes
Exactly.
of the firstborn, then he got the blessing.
That
is
is
showing
really
us
cool.
I understand it's couched in a story that is someone to see and brothers hating each other, but look at what it's bringing out. For us to get the blessing from the Father, we have to look, feel, and even have the hair on the arms, the authority, and the things that we do, smell, look, name
Yeah.
of the firstborn. Right? And that's from Torah.
And the bridegroom.
Hidden. This is why Yeshua can say, the scriptures testify of me. Because it does. We need to be like the firstborn
Mhm.
to be accepted of the Father.
Yep. To receive all that the Father has.
But let's go read First John again, right? Which I believe was written by Peter to John, right? If I remember correctly.
Maybe.
But anyways, that part's not a main point there. But he that saith, abide in him, ought to himself to walk even as he walked, just like we brought out there, right?
From Jeremiah chapter 33. It's amazing. The scriptures work together and they prove themselves.
Well, and it's not the Old Testament and the New Testament is teaching the same thing.
Right.
It really is. It's just through the ages, not everybody had all this stuff and they're trying to figure it out, right? And the New Testament is just bringing out what Yeshua's mortal ministry made so obvious. But yet people are still blind.
People
And they
still
still
struggle.
twist the scriptures, even still twist that verse after the resurrection. I mean, to be more technically correct, it's after his death. But I pushed the resurrection part because that's more what people think about. But the law of Moses ended at his death, not the resurrection. But I just do the resurrection to further the point in most people's mind. The most correct is his death. As Paul stated it, nailed to the cross. That was the death. Paul had it right.
The law of Moses.
It was the law of Moses that was nailed to the cross. Because if we go back to what, DNC 22 that you expounded for us,
Yep.
if it ended, that makes no sense there, right? Because
Right.
how do you end?
How do you have an end of
everlasting?
something?
How do you end everlasting? It wouldn't be everlasting if it ended.
Right.
And so it was the old covenant. Now, this is the part that could be a little tricky. The old covenant's the law of Moses, but other parts in that sections like we talked about earlier makes it obvious it's not talking about a brand spanking new. It's talking about renewed. In fact, we even went on to the word restoration that
Yeah.
everybody claims, right? But then
Right.
twists and denies.
They deny that it's a restoration because they make it about a brand spanking new thing.
Correct.
And a restoration cannot be something brand new.
Making them liars.
Yep.
I'm just going off the definition of words, right?
Yep.
Anyways,
And actually, and to call someone a liar who lies is actually a righteous judgment.
right, yeah.
Because
It's
they're there.
part of the 10 Commandments, and in there it's couched a little different, but I mean, I can go read Psalms. I can read the Book of Mormon. It just plain out states lie, and other parts of Torah it states just plain out lying, right?
Mhm.
So it's not just against your brother; it's just plain out lying. That's just a particular
Well,
application.
not only that, you go to Proverbs, and it states one of the things that the Lord hates the most, a lying tongue.
Yeah,
That's the
well,
first thing on the
here.
list.
So we can go. It's one of these. No, I'm not finding it fast enough. Oh, there we go. You don't just go to hell. You're thrust to hell, right?
Yeah. You're not
Um,
placed there gently. You're not led there by with a
You're not
silken
led.
thread.
You're not led there in a little basket, slowly lowered.
Right, and then here, lying's included with wickedness and abominations. Here it says none of these iniquities come from Yahweh. Let's see if I have the Proverbs one you were talking. Oh, this might be it. Yeah, there we go. I think that's the one you're bringing
Yeah,
up.
that's a good one. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. That
Yeah.
is beautiful.
I mean, come on. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
If you think lying for a good cause is
Oh,
good,
Proverbs
it's
6.
because you don't
Proverbs
know the
6,
scripture.
there's the Proverbs one that he's talking about.
Oh,
Right down here at the very bottom. These 6 things that the Lord hate.
yeah.
7 are an abomination unto him, a proud look, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, and a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren.
So it's interesting, thou shalt not lie includes hiding information that you know is important and that they're actually asking for. Because I know some of these people will avoid answering the question to make themselves look better. That's lying. When you go look at the Hebrew behind lying, that's hiding information. They're lying.
It's a false witness.
Yeah, it's a false witness because they're not fully answering to try to make their witness look different than it actually really is, which is a false witness, as Matt brings out. They say they want to keep the 10 Commandments, but then I see their actions. They don't even do that, let alone the explanations of the 10 Commandments that Yahweh gives us, right?
Right.
They're expecting a brand new set of 10.
They're expecting to be able to kneel down.
Pope gave them some, not recently, right?
Yeah, they're expecting to be able to kneel down upon their knees and have the Lord give them each their own 10 commandments.
Well, then how are they going to be united?
Don't confuse us with facts. Their
Because
eyes are
they're
made
following,
up.
because they're following the Lord, right?
In their uniqueness, but yeah, anyways, that makes them a respecter of persons, because if Yahweh
Yeah,
has
exactly.
different laws to judge different people, that actually literally makes them a respecter of person.
Right.
I mean, you can't, that's what a respecter of persons is.
And that's also what it means to be commanded in all things.
Oh, right, right. Yeah,
You
'cause
have
if
to-
they need their own commandments, they're trying to get commanded in everything, right? Which
Yep.
is a
Yes.
slothful servant. So that's another good point, Ben.
Yep. That is what it means to be commanded in all things, is to require the Lord to command you on every detail. Whereas the Lord has given us his will in his word, Torah,
Which he commands us
is
to search and
translated,
study.
which the translation of Torah, the literal translation of Torah is the word.
Well, I think it's actually Torah, but it means part of what it means is the word, which is Yahweh's word, which is our law, right? So
Yes. So
I do agree. Yeah,
it-
I might
his
state it a little
will-
different, but I do agree.
His
in
will
basically
is given
agree.
to us. His will is given to us on so many things. And if we study that will,
Once again,
If we-
Ketubah.
if we study the yes, if we study the wedding agreement, we can know how to act in accordance with being a part of the bride. Amazing.
No, come on, Ben. But
This
it's
is-
different for each one of us, right?
No.
Uh,
No.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, even Lectures on Faith brings out how if it was different for different people, you wouldn't be able to have enough faith you wouldn't be able to exercise faith strong enough unto salvation,
so-
because you wouldn't know if that's what you needed to do or not, because it's
And so
different.
when people wonder where their fruits are, when they claim to be exercising faith in the Lord, and they're wondering where their fruits are, maybe they should look back to the word.
Right. Go back how it was from the beginning, everlastingly, as in from DNC 22, right?
And maybe you'll find some fruits.
Yeah. And Alma 12. One day we need to do Alma 12, but
Yes.
we've probably hammered this one enough. So
Yeah.
unless you guys want to add to something, I want to shift us onto something that I got today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I've always wondered about the axe in the water and then it's floating, right? I considering I like to figure out the symbolism of the scriptures and what they mean. It's always been one I've wondered for about a while. You know what? I got the answer today.
Oh,
Look at
nice.
it. And I'll give you a hint. It's about the restoration. It really is.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So-
Show me more.
Huh?
Show me
Show
more.
me more.
Okay, I think this one's it. Yeah, this one's it. Okay. You want to read the verses and then I'll talk about it after.
Okay, starting
It's
with.
1 through 7.
Okay. And the sons of the prophets said unto Elisha, Behold, now the place where we dwell with thee is too strait for us. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make us a place there where we may dwell. And he answered, Go ye. And one said, Be content, I pray thee, and go with my servants. And he answered, I will go. So he went with them. And when they came to Jordan, they cut down wood. But as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water, and he cried, and said, Alas, master, for it was borrowed. And the man of God said, Where fell it? And he showed him the place. And he cut down a stick and cast it in thither, and the iron did swim. Therefore said he, Take it up to thee. And he put his hand he put out his hand and he took it.
Okay, so, it, so there's a
Hmm.
couple things in here. We'll start with this. First, they took up their own places. So this is where they're starting to not be united, right?
Mhm.
Which we see how Israel, they're not united, and
Yep.
especially the Gentiles, they're not
Mhm.
united, right?
Yeah.
Probably more so than the Israelites, but anyways. The big thing. Oh, sorry. For it is borrowed. So here's a servant. So 3rd Nephi, late 10s, or I think even early 10s. And he brings it a couple times. Yeshua talks about how he's made the gospel from his father his own. Okay,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Here is a servant that took some iron, an axe. In fact, you'll see it's called an axe and an iron later on. Now the iron is what? It's the word.
Right.
So here is a servant that had a borrowed word. He didn't make it his own, meaning he didn't really treasure it and really make it part of him. He didn't write it on his heart, as we've just recently just talked about, right?
Mhm.
It was borrowed. It wasn't his. And he lost it. Where did it get lost? In the deep water,
Yeah.
which is the sea beast. So we see they're no longer together. Oh, sorry. They're no longer together. They disperse out. Here's a servant who has borrowed iron,
Mhm.
meaning he hasn't made the word his own. He
Right.
lost it in the deep water, the deep sea, the sea beast, mystery Babylon.
Yeah. This is really
And
cool.
guess what?
And it will
What
be picked up again.
brought it back? A broken off branch, which is what Lehi is, aka the Book of Mormon. It's a record of a broken off branch. What brought the word back? A broken off branch. It brought it out of the deep water. And what is the purpose of the Book of Mormon? Is to do exactly that.
Mhm. That is cool.
About the Book of Mormon. Yahweh gave that to me today.
This was both of
That's awesome.
that is cool.
Now, I haven't spent enough time on this yet because I actually wonder if this is a
I think
chiasm,
there's
but
deeper.
anyways,
I think it runs even a little deeper than just the Book of Mormon. I think there's levels on this.
that probably is. Go ahead and expound what you're thinking.
Well, it's they don't know where to find it.
Well,
Man of God asks
guess who did?
the
The
man
mighty
of God.
one did. Because Elias is the second. Elijah is the first. Elijah is the
Yep.
second. The mighty
mighty
one.
and strong
The
one. The
mighty and strong one knew where to find it.
And he showed, and he cut down a stick, and he puts it in the water, and the word rises up.
Yeah, this also goes along with Ezekiel 37
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
mighty one.
Yep.
Joseph Smith started it, but he didn't finish it. The mighty one will.
And he
the
wasn't
mighty
meant-
one will bring it out completely, because 2 Nephi 3 brings out how the mighty one will help them actually understand it, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Joseph Smith initially brought it, but as the mighty one, will help them understand it. And
Joseph
make it
Smith
their
was
own.
not meant to finish the work.
Oh no, was it 2 Nephi 13, maybe 14 or
What?
12? I think it's 13. It talks about how he will restore much, but not all, right?
First Nephi 13.
Oh yeah, sorry. First Nephi, not second.
14.
14. First Nephi 14.
14. Yeah. Okay.
I have a post on that. But
Say what?
That's cool.
That is cool, dude.
I think that this is something that speaks on so many prophetic levels.
Oh yeah, yeah, completely. It follows the pattern, and it completely goes with what the restoration teaches too, right?
Yeah,
So
I
the
mean,
Ezekiel
what's
37,
at least the verifiable scripture from the restoration teaches, yes.
right? Anyways, that's something Yahweh gave to me today.
That is,
I
that is
have
beautiful,
always
my
wondered
friend.
about the axe. I got
Yeah.
it today.
That's beautiful, my friend.
Yeah, and that deserves a post one day if I ever get it. But yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
It's and then and it even cuts, right?
yeah.
But anyways, um, that's a big thing that he gave me today that I wanted to share. That's about the restoration,
It is.
the
It's
Book of
about the,
Mormon, and I
it's
would even say the Mighty One, because the Mighty One's going to know where
about
to
the,
look
it's
to bring it out.
the entire history of the restoration to the practically to from one restoration to the next restoration, because there will be another restoration.
Oh, exactly, the Mighty One. Just the fact
Yeah.
that the restoration teaches a Mighty One shows that there's going to be an apostasy, because why else would he be needed?
Right.
I
We're in the
he's
middle
going to
of an
come to
apostasy.
restore the house, right? Well,
Right.
how can you
Exactly.
restore something that's in good order? You can't. That's not what goes on. That
You
just
know.
defies the definition of words. I mean, we can go. Anyways, we already looked at definition of words already, so we don't need to go again.
Yeah. If we wish to belabor the point, we could do it.
No, that's fine. Um,
No, hey,
that
that is super cool.
and a stick, guess what? Is a tribe,
Yep.
and Lehi is part of the Joseph tribe that is going to have a big thing. And the break off, Joseph is going to go over the wall. It's going to be
Yep.
broken off. It just
Yes,
everything
go
fits.
go through the sea. The iron did swim.
And right, even who says it fits in with the full prophetic view, because who's really going to be bringing it out? It's the Mighty One, and that's who Elijah is.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. It
It's
is
perfect.
Elias. It is the Elias to prepare us for the second coming of the Lord.
Yeah. He's the Mighty One
Mhm.
who will be coming. Hopefully sooner than later. But anyways, that's
Oh,
another
please.
subject.
Oh, please, God, let it be so.
Well, it will be so. It's just the timing that's in question, right?
Yeah.
In fact, have we ever talked about the word soon? Anyways.
Oh, you mean the one the soon that can be anywhere between 1 to 2,000, 1 year, 1 day to 2,000 years?
Yeah, that one. Anyways, that's beautiful. The only thing that I could do more on it is to see if there's a chiasm to bring out a little more, but
Mhm.
that's the gist of it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to share.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are you, Zach? Have you been edified today?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause.